So I have a few related questions. I'll try and group them together. I'm a peace and truth seeker, but I could not find the truth that I'm looking for. However, the part in Islam which sometimes convinces me the most is worshipping God alone. But when I see the actions of Muslims globally, it makes me confused. Where can I find the true example of Islam? And then related to that also I have, why are Muslims not speaking enough against terrorism? And why are there verses in the Quran that incite hatred and violence against non-Muslims?
You go ahead. We ended with you, so we'll go with you.
The first question actually had a very profound beginning, and that is that the strongest appeal that the person had to Islam was in monotheism and in the worship of God alone. And the fact of the matter is that that is the primary and strongest appeal of our religion. And that is really what sets our religion apart from all other religions. Because many religions preach peace and beauty and tolerance and this and that, but we would say that ultimate monotheism and true monotheism is perfected in this religion of Islam, where God and His names and attributes, where our veneration and worship are directed to Him alone, where the beautiful names of Allah, the Quran says all beautiful names belong to Allah, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. So when we look at this particular aspect of monotheism, it is the strongest and it is the primary appeal that Islam has to all of mankind. And I would encourage you to study more about this issue about monotheism in Islam. And inshallah ta'ala, I pray that Allah guides me and you and all of us to the truth. Then you said that you don't find Islam practiced properly. I think that what you're basically saying is that human beings are imperfect. And this is absolutely right. That human beings, no matter who they are, no matter what they can never reach a level of absolute and ultimate perfection. No matter what religion they follow, no matter what guidance they follow, they will always fall short to a certain extent. And unfortunately, we have sensationalized a group of people who have fallen short to a greater extent possibly in their shortcomings and their acts of violence and terrorism. But I continue to remind you, and this is a statistical fact, the overwhelming majority of Muslims are not prone to violence and terror and evil. You're amongst a gathering of Muslims, there are around 3,000-4,000 Muslims here, which is one of the largest gathering in America. If you go to any other gathering of Muslims as well, you're not going to be around hate rousers and rabble rousers. You're going to be around peaceful, God-fearing citizens just like you and me, just like all of us. So don't judge the actions, don't judge Islam based upon the actions of a few people. I'm not justifying what they're doing. I'm saying statistically they represent a very, very small minority. As for the fact that we don't criticize them enough, I'm going to allow Professor Mattson to elaborate, because I'm sure she's asked this question a lot more. But from my side, I'll say we criticize them all the time. We criticize them from the pulpits. We criticize them in conferences. I just attended a number of conferences where the main theme of the conference was basically countering radicalization amongst our youth. We're doing it all the time, but it's simply not sensationalistic. It's not something that will appear in the nightly news, because it's not something that's sexy and alluring, pardon my language. It's not something that people want to discuss. It's that you'd rather show the bomb that happened in Pakistan and targeted the Ahmadiyya minority. You're not going to show the preacher who's giving a speech of tolerance. It's not very alluring. So I think that we are always preaching a moderate version of Islam. We're always preaching against radicalization and terror. It's just that, as I said, the media chooses to pick and choose what it wants to portray us as doing, and I'll let Professor Mattson elaborate more on that.
Yeah, you know, it's not even what the media chooses to portray. It's how our brain processes information. And there have been many studies about this. I think there's one book called The Gorilla in the Room or something like that. We see selectively, and our brains see those things and remember those things that are vital for self-interest first. So if there's, say you read the newspaper and there's, 15, 20 stories, the one that's going to stick with you for a long time will be the one that terrifies you, the one that frightens you. Because there's a place, it's necessary to prioritize, for your brain to prioritize that for self-preservation. You can read so many nice things, a nice Muslim family having dinner together, they work at the soup kitchen. It'll be ephemeral. It'll stay with you for a short time and it'll be gone. So that's one of our challenges, because this is a universal challenge. If you go to other parts of the world and you ask them about their impression, not just the Muslim world, other parts of the world, ask them about their impressions of Americans. What will their impressions be? Believe me, very often they'll have such a bizarre idea of American society. They'll think it's a place of complete debauchery. They'll think that, you know, that there's just like, they'll be afraid to go into cities. They'll think it's completely violent, because these are the images that they get. So we have very distorted impressions of each other, and we need to work on that. The person said that he or she's a seeker of the truth. We really have to go and find out what the truth of people is. And I can tell you that the acts of kindness and generosity that you see among normal and ordinary Muslims every day will astound you. You know, turn off the TV and go and just be with people and see their kindness. People who don't have a lot, who constantly extend their homes and their hand to other people in need, not just other Muslims, but non-Muslims. Do you know that people in Gaza, Palestinians in Gaza, felt so sorry for the Haitians that they raised money? They have no money, but they gathered together some money and supplies to send to Haiti because they felt so empathetic for what they saw. So you will see this generosity among ordinary Muslim people. And finally, the majority victims of terrorists who are Muslim are other Muslims. So if you want to ask, you know, where are the Muslims? Well, Afghanistan is 99.9% Muslim. So the people who are putting their bodies on the line are Muslim doctors, nurses, teachers, police officers, who are trying to build their society. So, you know, if you look, Muslims are not only speaking, they're acting, and they are working hard to build their own societies.